Listening, Zane and Corvus stepped onto the observation deck of outpost Omega, his eyes immediately drawn to the vast expanse of uncharted space beyond the reinforced glass. The station hung on the very edge of known territory, a solitary beacon of human presence in this distant frontier. He inhaled deeply, the recycled air carrying a faint metallic tang that reminded him of the immense distance from Earth. Dr. Corvus, welcome aboard, a crisp voice cut through his reverie. Commander Elena Reeves strode towards him, her posture rigid and eyes sharp. I trust your journey was uneventful. Zane turned, offering a firm handshake. As uneventful as a 3-month cryosleep can be, Commander. Thank you for having me. Reeves nodded curtly. Your reputation precedes you, Doctor. We're eager to see what your expertise can bring to our research. Here, she gestured towards the main corridor. Let me show you to your quarters, and then we'll proceed to the lab for your briefing. As they walked, Zane's mind raced with possibilities. The chance to study cosmic phenomena at the very edge of known space was a dream come true. He'd fought hard for this position, leaving behind a cushy academic post and more than a few skeptical colleagues. I understand you have some unconventional theories about quantum entanglement across vast distances, Reeves remarked, her tone neutral but her eyes probing. Zane chuckled, a hint of defiance in his voice. Unconventional today, groundbreaking tomorrow, Commander. That's how science progresses. They reached his quarters, a compact but well-equipped space that would serve as his home for the foreseeable future. Reeves left him to settle in with instructions to report to the main lab in an hour. Alone, Zane unpacked his few personal items. His fingers lingered on a hollow photo of his parents, their proud smiles frozen in time. I'll make it count, he whispered, setting it on the small desk. An hour later, Zane stood before an array of holographic disc displays in the main lab, his eyes darting from one readout to another. Dr. Ashak Kapur, the station's lead physicist, was explaining their current research projects. And here, she said, pulling up a new display, is our most puzzling data set. We've been detecting anomalous quantum fluctuations from this region. She pointed to a star system just beyond the edge of map space. Zane leaned in, his brow furrowed. These patterns, they're unlike anything I've seen before. Have you considered the possibility of artificial origin? Dr. Kapur's eyes widened. Artificial? You mean extraterrestrial? Zane finished, his heart racing. These fluctuations show a level of complexity that's hard to attribute to natural phenomena. Commander Reeves, who had been silently observing, stepped forward. Dr. Corvus, are you suggesting we've detected signs of alien intelligence? Zane met her gaze steadily. I'm suggesting it's a possibility we can't ignore. We need to investigate further. The next few days were a whirlwind of activity. Zane threw himself into analyzing the data, working long hours and barely sleeping. His colleagues alternated between excitement and skepticism, but none could deny the strangeness of the signals. On the 5th day, during a routine scan, alarms blared across the station. Zane rushed to the main lab, finding it in chaos. What's happening? He shouted over the den. Dr. Kapur, her face pale, pointed to the main display. The signals, they've intensified. And look at this energy signature. Zane's jaw dropped. The readings were off the charts, indicating a massive surge of unknown energy from the uncharted planet. Commander Reeves burst into the lab report. Zane turned to her, his eyes blazing with excitement and determination. Commander, we need to go down there. Whatever this is, it's beyond anything we've encountered. We can't pass up this opportunity. Reeves hesitated, weighing the risks against the potential discovery. Finally, she nodded. Assemble a team. Dr. Corvus, you leave in 6 hours. The descent to the planet's surface was tense. Zan strapped into the shuttle alongside a small team of researchers and security personnel couldn't tear his eyes from the viewport. The planet loomed larger, its surface a swirling mix of deep purples and blues. As they broke through the atmosphere, strange energy readings caused their instruments to fluctuate wildly. The pilot, Lieutenant Ramos, cursed under her breath as she fought to maintain control. Hang on, she shouted as the shuttle lurched violently. They touched down hard, the impact jarring Zay's teeth as the dust settled. An eerie silence fell over the team. Atmospheric reading stable, Dr. Kapur reported, her voice shaky. Oxygen levels compatible with human physiology. Zay unstrapped himself, moving towards the airlock. Let's suit up and get out there. The planet's surface was alien, and beautiful crystalline structures jutted from the ground, reflecting the light of the distant sun. In mesmerizing patterns, the air carried a faint electric charge, making the On Zay's arm stand on end even through his suit fan out he ordered, but stay. Visual contact, we don't know what we're dealing with here, they had barely begun. Their survey when Zane spotted something that made his heart skip a beat in the distance partially obscured by the crystal formations stood what could only be described as a structure over there, he called out pointing the team. Converged moving cautiously towards the alien building as they drew closer Zane noticed movement he held up a hand signaling the others to stop somethings. Coming out he whispered into his calm, a figure emerged from the structure. Humanoid but clearly not human, its skin was a deep iridescent blue that seemed to shimmer in the strange light as it approached. Zane could make out more details: almond-shaped eyes that glowed faintly, long graceful limbs, and a face that was hauntingly beautiful in its alienness. The security team raised their weapons, but Zane waved them down. Hold your fire, he ordered, his voice barely above a whisper. The alien stopped a few meters away, regarding them with what seemed like curiosity, then to everyone's shock it spoke. Welcome, it said the word clear and crisp in perfect English. I am Lei, we have been waiting for you. Zane stepped forward, his heart pounding. I'm Dr. Zane Corvus, we come in peace. How do you know our language? Lei's lips curved into what might have been a smile. We have been studying you for some time, Dr. Corvus. Your broadcasts reach far into space, but time is short. We need your help. Our help, Zane repeated, confused. What do you mean? Lei's expression grew somber. My people are dying, a genetic mutation caused by the intense radiation in this part of space is destroying us. We are the last survivors. Zane's scientific curiosity wed with his empathy. I'm so sorry, but how can we help? We have discovered that a symbiotic bond with a species whose DNA is not affected by this radiation could save us. Your species, you are compatible. The implications of Lei's words hit Zane like a physical blow. He stared at her, a million questions racing through his mind, but before he could voice any of them, he felt it, a sudden, inexplicable pull towards this alien being. Their eyes met, and in that moment, Zane knew that his life would never be the same. Dr. Corvus, Dr. Kapoor's voice crackled through his calm, tinged with concern. What should we do? Zane took a deep breath, his gaze never leaving Lei's luminous eyes. With listen, he said firmly, we learn and then we decide how to proceed. As the rest of the team looked on in a mixture of awe and trepidation, Zane took a step closer to Lei. The air between them seemed to crackle with an unseen energy, a tangible manifestation of the momentous first contact between their species. Tell us everything, Zane said, his voice steady despite the whirlwind of emotions inside him. We here to understand. Lei nodded, her movements fluid and graceful. Come, she said, gesturing towards the structure she had emerged from. There is much to explain, and as I said, time is short. As Zay followed Lei with his team cautiously trailing behind, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was walking into the greatest adventure and possibly the greatest challenge of his life. The fate of an entire species might rest in his hands, and the connection he felt to Lei inexplicable as it was only added to the weight of the moment. The future of two worlds hung in the balance, and Zane Corvus stood at the precipice of a discovery that would change the course of human history forever. As Zane followed Lei into the alien structure, his mind raced with questions and possibilities. The interior was a marvel of organic architecture, with pulsating bioluminescent walls that seemed to breathe with life. Our civilization once spanned galaxies, Lei explained, her voice carrying a hint of sorrow. Now we are reduced to this, our last refuge. Zane's scientific curiosity battled with his growing empathy for Lei and her people. Can you show me more about your physiology? Perhaps if I understand it better, I can find a solution. Lei nodded, leading him to a chamber filled with holographic displays. As she began to explain the intricacies of her species' biology, Zane found himself captivated not just by the information but by Lei herself. Her blue skin shimmered with an otherworldly beauty, her movements graceful and mesmerizing. Over the next few days, Zane immersed himself in studying Lei's people. He worked tirelessly analyzing data and running simulations. The rest of the team assisted, but maintained a cautious distance from the aliens. Zane hesitated, then nodded as they shared a meal of strange yet delicious alien fruits. Lei began to tell him about her people's history, their art, their philosophy. Zane found himself enthralled not just by the information but by Lei's passion as she spoke. As days turned into weeks, Zane and Lei grew closer. They spent long hours together, sometimes working, sometimes simply talking. Zane found himself opening up about his own life, his ambitions his fears one night as they walked through a crystal garden under alien stars. Lee suddenly stopped Zay. She said, her voice trembling slightly. There's something I need to show you. She reached out, her fingers covering just above his skin. May I? Zane nodded, his heart racing as Lee's fingers made contact with his arm. A jolt of electricity coursed through him. It wasn't painful but intensely pleasurable, sending waves of sensation throughout his body. What was that? He gasped, both thrilled and unnerved. Lee's eyes seemed to glow brighter. It's how my people connect. Our bodies generate bio electrical fields when we touch someone compatible. She didn't finish the sentence, but she didn't need to. The implications were clear, and Zane felt a mix of excitement and trepidation from that moment. Everything changed. Zane and Liz's relationship deepened, becoming more intimate with each passing day. Their nights were filled with exploration, both physical and emotional. The sensations Zane experienced were unlike anything he'd known before. Liz touch sent sparks across his skin. Her kisses left him dizzy with pleasure. As they grew closer, Zay couldn't help but be captivated by Liz's ethereal beauty. Her skin, a deep iridescent blue, seemed to shimmer with an inner light. Especially under the alien stars, her almond-shaped eyes glowed, softly filled with intelligence and emotion, drawing him in every time their gazes met. Her movements were fluid and graceful, like water flowing over polished stones, and she carried herself with a poise that spoke of ancient wisdom and strength. Her hair, cascading in silken waves, framed a face that was both hauntingly alien and profoundly beautiful, with features that seemed perfectly sculpted by some divine artist. One evening, as they stood together in the crystal garden, the hair around them crackling with the energy of their connection, Lee turned to Zay, her eyes reflecting the myriad colors of the crystalline structures around them. Zay, she whispered, her voice trembling slightly, I want to share something deeper with you, something sacred to my people. Zane's heart raced as he nodded, his eyes locked onto hers. I'm ready, Lay. Whatever it is, I want to experience it with you. She reached out and took his hand, leading him to a secluded area of the garden where the crystals formed a natural alcove, their glow creating a soft, intimate light. They sat down facing each other, and Lee placed her hands gently on Zane's shoulders, her touch sending a familiar shiver through his body. Lee, Zane murmured, his voice filled with both anticipation and reverence. You're so beautiful. Lee smiled, a radiant expression that seemed to light up the entire garden. Thank you, Zane. Your presence is beautiful to me as well. Slowly she landed, her lips brushing against his in a tender kiss. The bioelectric spark that ignited between them was more intense than ever, a wave of pleasure that made Zane's breath hitch as their kiss deepened. Zay's hands moved to her waist, pulling her closer, feeling the warmth and the soft, velvety texture of her skin through the thin fabric of her clothing. Lee's hand slid down his chest, exploring the contours of his muscles with a featheral touch that left a trail of tingling sensation in its wake. She broke the kiss, her breath coming in soft pants, and met his gaze with eyes that now glowed brighter, filled with both desire and affection. Zane, she whispered, when we bond like this, it's more than just physical. Our energies will merge, our hearts will beat as one. Are you sure you're ready? Zane nodded, his voice steady despite the whirlwind of emotions inside him. I've never been more sure of anything. Lay, with a graceful motion, Lee began to undress, revealing the full splendor of her alien form. Her body was a masterpiece of curves and lines, her skin shimmering with bioluminescent patterns that danced and shifted with her movements. Zan followed suit, his eyes never leaving her, his admiration for her growing with every second. When they were both bare to each other, Lee guided Zane to lie down among the soft, luminescent moss that covered the ground. She straddled him, her touch both commanding and gentle, and leaned down to kiss him again, deeper this time, their tongues dancing in a rhythm that felt as old as time itself. As their bodies pressed together, the bioelectric field between them intensified, creating a sensation that was both electric and deeply sensual. Zane felt as if he were floating, every nerve ending alive with pleasure. Every touch from Lee, a spark that ignited his soul. They moved together in perfect harmony, their bodies and energies merging in a dance of love and connection that transcended the physical. Lay's movements were fluid and rhythmic, her body undulating with a grace that took Zane's breath away. He held onto her, his hands exploring the smooth expanse of her back, the delicate curve of her hips, the softness of her thighs. Every touch, every caress was met with a surge of bioelectric energy that heightened their pleasure, binding them closer together. Their breaths mingled Their hearts beat in sin, and as they reached the peak of their union, Zane felt a profound connection with Lee, a bond that went beyond mere physicality. It was as if their very souls had intertwined, creating a single harmonious entity. When the climax came, it was like nothing Zane had ever experienced. A wave of pure ecstatic energy washed over them, leaving them both trembling and breathless. Their bodies still entwined, Lee collapsed onto Zane, her head resting on his chest, their hearts beating as one. For a long time they lay there in the glowing garden, the afterglow of their union enveloping them in a cocoon of warmth and love. Zane stroked Lee's hair, his mind filled with a sense of wonder and awe at what they had just shared. Lee, he murmured, that was incredible. I've never felt anything like it. Lee lifted her head to look at him, her eyes shining with a mixture of love and gratitude. It was incredible for me too, Zane. Thank you for sharing this with me. Zane smiled, pulling her close again. Thank you, Lee, for showing me this side of your world, for sharing yourself with me. I feel changed in the best possible way. One morning, after a particularly intense night together, Lee revealed the full truth. Zane, she said, her voice serious, there's more you need to know about the symbiotic bond I mentioned when we first met. Zane sat up, instantly alert. What is it? Lee took a deep breath. A full symbiotic merger with one of us. It could save my entire species, but it would change you permanently. You would become something new, neither fully human nor fully like us. The weight of her words hit Zane like a physical blow. He stared at her, his mind reeling. You mean I'd have to give up my humanity? Lee nodded solemnly. It's an enormous ask, I know, but it's our only hope for survival. Zane stood abruptly, packing the room. His thoughts were in chaos. On one hand, he had dedicated his life to scientific discovery and the advancement of knowledge. The chance to save an entire species, to become something entirely new, was unprecedented. On the other hand, the thought of losing his human identity, of never being able to return to Earth or see his family again, filled him with dread. I need time to think, he said finally, his voice hoarse. Lee nodded, understanding in her eyes. Of course, but remember, Zane, time is not on our side. Over the next few days, Zane wrestled with his decision. He threw himself into his work with renewed vigor, desperate to find an alternative solution, but every simulation, every test led to the same conclusion: the symbiotic merger was the only viable option. His team noticed the change in him. Dr. Capper approached him one evening, concern etched on her face. Dr. Corvus, is everything all right? You seem different. Zane sighed, running a hand through his hair. Asha, what would you do if you had the power to save an entire species, but the cost was everything? Dr. Kapoor's eyes widened as understanding dawned. Zane, what exactly are you considering? He told her everything about the symbiotic bond, about the chance to save Lee's people, about the cost to himself. As he spoke, he realized he was trying to convince himself as much as her. It's not just about the science anymore, is it? Asha asked softly. When he finished, Zane shook his head. No, it's not. I love her, Asha. But is that enough reason to give up everything I've ever known? Asha placed a comforting hand on his shoulder. Only you can answer that, Zane, but whatever you decide, know that you have our support. As Zane left the lab that night, his mind was no clearer. He found himself walking to the crystal garden, where he and Lee had shared so many moments. To his surprise, he found her there, gazing up at the alien sky. I thought I might find you here, Lee said without turning. Zane moved to stand beside her. Lee, she turned to face him, her eyes shimmering with unshed tears. You don't have to say anything, Zane. I know what I'm asking of you is monumental. If you choose not to do it, I will understand. Zane reached out, cupping her face in his hands. The familiar spark of their touch sent shivers through him. How can I not do it? Your people will die, and you will cease to be fully human, Lee whispered. It's too much to ask. Zane leaned his forehead against hers, closing his eyes. I don't know who I'll be if I do this, but I know who I'll be if I don't. Someone who had the chance to save an entire species and didn't take it. Someone who let the woman he loved die along with her people. He opened his eyes, meeting Lee's gaze. I'm scared, Lee, terrified actually, but I think I have to do this. Lee's eyes widened. Zane, are you sure? Once it's done, there's no going back. Zane took a deep breath, steeling himself. I'm sure whatever happens, whatever I become, we'll face it together. As they stood there under the light of alien stars, Zane felt a mix of terror and exhilaration. He was standing on the brink of something unprecedented, something that would change not just his life but the course of two species forever. When do we begin? He asked, his Voice steady despite the turmoil inside him, Lee's eyes seemed to glow brighter. Now if you're ready, our scientists have prepared everything. Zane nodded, taking Lee's hand as they walked towards the facility where the symbiotic merger would take place. He sent a silent goodbye to his old life, to Earth, to everything he had known, whatever lay ahead. There was no turning back now. The fate of Lee's people and Zane's own destiny hung in the balance. As they entered the facility, Zane squared his shoulders, ready to face whatever came next. The door closed behind them, sealing Zane's decision, the greatest adventure of his life and the most profound sacrifice, was about to begin. As Zane and Lee entered the facility, a palpable tension filled the air. Alien scientists bustled around, making final preparations for the unprecedented procedure. Zane's heart pounded, his resolve wavering as the reality of what he was about to do sank in. Lee squeezed his hand, her touch sending familiar sparks through his body. Are you still certain about this, Zane? She asked, her luminous eyes searching his face. Zane nodded, swallowing hard. I am, but Lee, I need to know, how much time do we really have? Lee's face fell, her blue skin seeming to pale. Not long. The genetic degradation is accelerating. Without this merger, my people will be extinct. With a month, the weight of that knowledge settled on Zane's shoulders like a physical burden. He straightened, steeling himself. Then let's not waste any more time. What do I need to do? An elder alien approached, his movement slow but purposeful. I am Thorin, chief scientist. Dr. Corvus, we cannot thank you enough for your sacrifice. Please, follow me. Thorin led them to a chamber dominated by two pod-like structures connected by a web of pulsating energy. Zane eyed the apparatus wearily, his scientific mind racing to understand its function. These pods will facilitate the symbiotic merger, Thorin explained. It will allow for a gradual integration of your genetic material and consciousness. Zane nodded, his mouth dry. What are the risks? Thorin's expression grew grave. The process is irreversible. There is a small chance that the merger could fail, resulting in, well, we cannot be certain of the outcome in that case. Lee stepped forward, her face etched with concern. Zane, if you've changed your mind. No, Zane interrupted, his voice firm. I haven't. Let's do this. As the scientists made final adjustments, Zane turned to Lee. Before we begin, I need you to promise me something. Lee nodded, her eyes never leaving his. Anything. If this works, if we become something new, promise me we'll use our knowledge to bridge our worlds, to foster understanding between humans and your people. Lee's eyes shimmered with emotion. I promise, Zane. Our new existence will be dedicated to unity and progress. With a final shared look, they stepped into their respective pods. As the transparent cover sealed shut, Zane felt a momentary panic. He closed his eyes, focusing on his breathing, on the reasons he was doing this. Thorin's voice came through a speaker. We're initiating your process now, Dr. Corvus. Lee, prepare yourselves. A humming filled the air, growing in intensity. Zane felt a tingling sensation spreading through his body, starting at his extremities and working its way inward. He gasped as the feeling intensified, becoming almost painful. Then suddenly he felt it, a presence in his mind that wasn't his own. Lise, her voice echoed in his thoughts. I can feel you. Their consciousnesses began to intertwine, memories and emotions flowing between them like water. Zane saw flashes of Lee's life, the beauty of her world in its prime, the despair as her people began to die off, the hope she felt when she met him. The physical sensation grew more intense. Zane felt as if his very atoms were being pulled apart and reassembled. He wanted to scream, but found he had no control over his body. Just when he thought he couldn't bear it any longer, something shifted. The pain receded, replaced by a feeling of expansion. Zane felt as if his consciousness was spreading, encompassing not just his own body and legs, but stretching out to touch the very fabric of the universe. Colors he had never seen before flooded his vision. He could feel the rotation of the planet beneath him, sensed the cosmic radiation that had been killing Lee's people, and more than that, he understood it all on a fundamental level. With a final surge of energy that lit up the entire facility, the merger completed. The pod covers opened with a hiss, releasing a cloud of steam. Thorin and the other scientists rushed forward, instruments at the ready. Vital signs are stable. One called out genetic integration appears successful. From the mist emerged a single figure. Not quite Zane, not quite Lee, but something entirely new. The being's skin shimmered with a blue iridescence, its eyes glowing with an inner light. When it spoke, its voice was a harmonic blend of Zay's and Lee. We are one, it said, looking down at its new form with wonder, and yet we are more than the sum of our parts. Thorin Approached cautiously, how do you feel? Are you both of you still there then? Being smiled, an expression of infinite understanding, we are Zane and Lee, and we are something new. We remember our past selves, but we have transcended them. As the initial shock wore off, the being that was once Zane and Lee began to explain what they now understood. They spoke of the genetic fix needed to save as people of new technologies that could revolutionize both societies of a deeper understanding of the cosmos itself. Over the next few weeks, the changes rippled out. The genetic cure was synthesized and distributed, halting the extinction of Lee's race. Words spread to Earth of the incredible discovery of the sacrifice and transformation of Dr. Zanin Corvus. The being took on the name Zalia, a blend of their former selves. They worked tirelessly, bridging the gap between the two species, ushering in an era of unprecedented cooperation and advancement. 1 year after the merger, Zelia stood on the observation deck of a new joint human-alien space station. Ships from both races docked side by side. Scientists and diplomats mingled freely. Dr. Ashak Kapur approached, a look of awe still present whenever she interacted with her former colleague. It's incredible, isn't it? Everything that's happened in just a year. Zalia nodded, their iridescent skin shimmering in the starlight. It's only the beginning, Asha. There's so much more to explore, to discover. Do you ever regret it? Asha asked hesitantly, giving up your human life. Zalia was quiet for a moment, their glowing eyes scanning the stars. We remember the fear, the uncertainty Zane felt, but no, there is no regret. What we've gained, what we've been able to achieve, it's beyond anything either Zane or Lee could have imagined. They turned to Asha, a smile playing on their lips. We are the bridge between worlds, the key to unlocking the secrets of the universe. Our journey is just beginning. As they spoke, a new ship appeared on the horizon, the first joint human-alien deep space exploration vessel. Its mission to venture beyond known space to seek out new life and new civilizations. Zalia felt a thrill of excitement. They were no longer just Zane Corvus, the ambitious astrophysicist, or Lee, the last hope of a dying race. Were something more, something new, a symbol of unity, a harbinger of a future where the boundaries between species blurred and the universe itself was within reach. As the ship docked, its crew disembarking, a mix of humans and Lee's people, Zalia knew that their sacrifice had been worth it. They had not just saved a species, they had opened the door to a new era of cosmic exploration and understanding. The adventure that had begun with a routine scan on the edge of known space had transformed not just Zay and Lee, but the future of two entire species. And as Zalia looked out at the stars, they knew that the greatest discoveries, the most profound transformations, were yet to come. The universe beckoned, full of mystery and promise. In Zalia, once Zan and Lee, now the bridge between worlds, was ready to answer its call.